The tension increased between the two most populous countries in the world, China versus India, the first confrontation with its soldiers. The skirmish had taken place in the Galvan Valley, located between the Ladakh region, India, and the Aksai Chinpote, China. New Delhi had confirmed 20 dead Indian militaries. That was the first border incident with it between the two Asian powers in the last 4 decades. Senior military officials on both sides had moved to the center for trying to control the situation. The speed didn't confirm victims among its ranks. A representative of Ministry of Foreign Affairs of China, Xiao Lijiang, had explained that the incident had occurred after Indian soldiers had crossed the border twice Monday before. The spokesperson had told AFP that the military provoked and attacked China's personnel, resulting in a serious physical confrontation between the border forces in the two sides. New Delhi had clarified that there had been no shoots that Monday, something that both parties assured hadn't happened in the 4 decades for the area, and local media had reported that the Indian soldiers had been beaten to death, something that hadn't confirmed by the army. Otto Sonnenhosner declaration against corruption. Otto Sonnenhosner has said that he wasn't a member of the Alianza País movement. He wasn't a militant of any party. That wasn't about parties and movement. It was about justice acting, above all, in that case of the level of control authorities. After those words, he had distanced himself from Assemblyman Daniel Mendoza, who had been arrested on June 5, 2020, and had tried in the National Court of Justice for alleged organized crime in the construction of the Pedernales Hospital in Manabí. If someone had committed an act of corruption, let them worry, and if someone was thinking of doing it, think twice, had said the Vice President of the Ecuadorian Republic, who had said that the only way to avoid irregularities was that there was an impunity and for the government doesn't intervene either with the control authorities or with the judicial authorities. The Vice President had said that he never covered up, words paid homage, much less with the argument of protecting a political project, who Friday before participated and explained cabinet. The Assembly requests the Attorney's Office and the Comptroller to investigate complaints. The boards of the Assembly returned to debate for a multi-party commission to investigate Daniel Mendoza of the Mejor movement. Before the process had started, the bench had requested that the Precursor's Office and the Comptroller's Office acted with agility in the complaints that other legislators also faced for alleged irregularities. That reaction had occurred when Juan Carlos Ceballos, Minister of Health, had affirmed that there was influences on the part of Assembly members for hospital management and administration, although he hadn't given names or details. Sebastián Palacios, a member of the Assembly's Health Commissions, had said that it was important that something so serious didn't remain as a comment or complaint, but rather reaches the bottom of the investigation.
In relation with COVID-19, Andrew Clark said that was lower risk in regions where the population is younger. That is the case of Africa. But in Africa, could be mortal a high proportion of severe cases, because in this continent the health systems are very precarious. Now I'm going to talk about China. The Beijing City Hall said that the epidemic situation in the capital is extremely serious. Reason why the confinement of some 30 residential areas was ordered. The houses, the inhabitants don't have the right to leave their houses, but they can receive food. Now I'm going to talk about the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization said that the Nipah virus could be more deadly than COVID-19, and that currently there are no drug or a vaccine for Nipah virus infection. World Health Organization said that they had identified Nipah virus as a priority disease. For this reason, they the Nipah virus are considered for the research and development plan.
The possibility of retaking the red line in Quito worries Liga de Quito because this was recognized by the Uruguayan midfielder Matias Unino in a virtual press conference held on the day of June 16, stating that we could talk about it now before the start. We hope that the situation improves, but we are attentive to what can be decided. This is because the number of infected by coronavirus is growing up without control. The Dorian Quique Salguero was again summoned by the DT Quique Sartin for training of the main team of FC Barcelona. This Monday of June 15 of 2020. This is after the thrashing that marked the Kyoto Club over Mallorca in the resumption of the Spanish League. 5 Ecuadorians who are part of World Tour and Pro Continental team will compete in 2 of the big 3 of world cycling. Richard Carapaz, Jonathan Caicedo, and Alexander Cepeda will run the Giro d'Italia, while Jonathan Narvaez and Jefferson Cepeda will go to Vuelta to Spain.
Since executive order on best practice in police. This order offers federal grants to improve police practice, including creating a database to trace abuse by officers. The order comes amid anger over the killing of African American by police officers. Several U.S. cities have proposed more radical reforms. The Trump announcement comes as Democrats and Republicans in the U.S. Congress are developing reforms of their own. The President's executive order aims to provide for police departments to improve by taking some federal grants to best practice. It will create a federal database of complaints against officers. It will also encourage the development of social workers alongside officers to deal with non-violent cases involving drugs, addiction, and homeless. The White House has stressed the idea is to bring the police closer to communities. The order will also prioritize federal grants to departments that obtain certain of high standards regarding the escalation, training, and use of force. Green glow detected on Mars. A similar glow is sometimes seen by astronauts on the space stations when they look to Earth's line. The glow comes from oxygen atoms when they are excited by sunlight. The phenomenon has long been predicted to occur on the other planets, but the Trace Gas Orbiter, a joint European-Russian satellite at Mars, is the first to make the observation beyond the Earth. These emissions are the consequence of collisions between atmospheric molecules and target particles that are racing away from the Sun. On Earth, this type of interactions is heavily influenced by other planets' strong magnetic field, which pulls those particles down on the poles. These aurora are not focused in quite the same way on Mars because this world doesn't have a global magnetic field, but such emissions nonetheless exist and have already been observed. Theoretically, therefore, you could use observations of the green glow to help inform the models that guide the entry, descent, and landing of Mars probes. A possible plan to pull US troops from Germany. People on both sides of the Atlantic are waiting for official confirmation whether the US will put 9 miles 500 troops out of Germany, over a third of its total 34 miles 500 troops present in the country. The possible proposal was this reported June 5 by the Wall Street Journal. A US official confirmed to NPR the plan exists but not orders have been issued. Germany's government has also said Chancellor Angela Merkel was informed the US is considering a troop drawdown from the country. The possible plan has caused stir among current and former officials in both countries, with a view in US military presence in Germany as one of the most strategic in the world. Despite this, the news of a possible troop drawdown inside a close US ally highlights the deteriorating relationship between the US and Germany, as well as other European nations. According to the Wall Street Journal, the Trump administration plans to cap the number of the US service members in Germany at 25 miles